All right, welcome. Well, I imagine if you're here and watching this video today, chances are there's probably a part of you that's feeling stuck or lost or possibly lacking motivation and direction. And if that sounds like you, first of all, I want to say that's okay. Okay. And the reason I say that is because that's actually very common. And I hear that all the time from clients that I work with. And I've experienced that myself. And I'll tell you firsthand that there's almost no worse feeling in the world. Okay. But if you're feeling any of that right now, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end. I'm going to share a very powerful tool that's been incredibly helpful for me, and that's been incredibly helpful for a number of clients that I work with. And I'm also going to share some real powerful tips, tools, and strategies to help you go from feeling stuck, okay, to feeling unstuck, motivated, moving, and creating real momentum in your life. Okay. So, one of the first things that I talk about when I meet a new client or a prospective client is I'll ask them, what does success mean to you? And it's an interesting question because I hear all kinds of responses. And oftentimes people really struggle to come up with an answer and they'll hum and haw about it and they'll think. And I just think that's really interesting. Different people have different ideas of what success means to them. Some people think that you're successful if you earn a lot of money. Okay. But I'll tell you, I know some people who earn a lot of money, but they're miserable or they're stressed out all the time, or they come home exhausted and they snap at their families. They lose their temper with their wife or husband or kids. And to me, that just doesn't strike me as success, or worse, they found some success in their life, but it's come at the expense of either their health, or maybe their happiness, or in many cases, their relationships, or sometimes even a combination of all of the above, you know. Other people, I'll ask them, what does success mean to you? And you can tell that they've really not put any thought into it at all, and I just think that's really intriguing because, I wonder to myself, like, well, what the heck are you working so hard for? You know? But one of the best definitions of success that I've ever come across is by a mentor of mine named Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale, he's passed now, but he has a definition of success that I love. And he says that a successful person is somebody who knows where they are, who knows where they want to go, and is making steady progress towards that worthy ideal. And I just love that definition of success. And the reason is because you don't necessarily even have to have accomplished or achieved your goal just yet. But as long as you're making progress towards it, man, you can feel like a success. In fact, Tony Robbins, another mentor of mine, he has a phrase that says that progress equals happiness. And I think that there's a lot of truth in that statement in the sense that, we have an innate desire as human beings to learn and to grow and to improve at things that we deem are important to ourselves. And when we're doing that, it's a real high vibration energy, isn't it? That's typically what fills us with feelings of like accomplishment and satisfaction and pride. And, it feels great to feel like you're making progress in life. Alternatively, if you've reached a point in your life where you've kind of plateaued, okay, that's typically when you're going to feel like you're stuck in a rut. And possibly you're working really hard, but kind of on the hamster wheel of life where you're going real hard, working real hard and going real fast, but not necessarily getting anywhere, not anywhere meaningful anyway. And so I like to use that definition of success. Okay. But in order to do that, you need to know two things. One, you need to know where you're at. Okay. And two, you need to know where you want to go. So how do you know where you're at? Well, I'm going to pull up a little whiteboard here and show you a tool that I use with clients called a wellness wheel. Okay. Give me a second here while this loads. But this is a version of a wellness wheel. Okay. And you can think of a wellness wheel like the wheel of a bicycle. in the sense that all of these different sections are like the spokes. Okay. And just like the spokes of a wheel, they're all interconnected and they're equally important. All right. Now, each of these different sections is meant to represent a major area of life. Okay. And, in no particular order, I'll go through these, but, most people, the first couple of things that come to mind are, work and career. It obviously takes up a significant portion of our time and a day and our lives and that sort of thing. Okay. Money for sure ends up on there. Money's not everything, but it's hard to do much without it. Okay. Relationships is another one, and this could be, intimate or otherwise, friends and family for sure, that sort of thing too, but it could be spouses and kids. All right. Fun and recreation, that's an important part of life for sure. Personal growth. Okay. Mental and emotional well-being has become, a topic of conversation as of late. Obviously, our physical health and fitness plays a role. And oftentimes, one that most people don't typically think about, especially in North America, is spirituality. But here, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting, religion per se. I just think sometimes, a sense of either a higher power or something greater than ourself, whatever that might be for you, is, a kind of a personal endeavor. But the idea with a wellness wheel like this is you want to start in the middle, okay? And you use this as an opportunity to kind of press pause, check in with yourself, which I don't think most people ever give themselves an opportunity to do that, first and foremost, okay? But it also gives you an opportunity to kind of like take personal inventory and ask yourself, like, where am I? What's working well in life right now? And what might need to be improved upon a little bit. Okay. Now, let's imagine for a moment that you're like, you're happily married and you're in a good relationship and, you're confident and comfortable there, that maybe that's an 8 or a 9. You guys communicate well and, things are pretty smooth on the home front. Okay. But let's say, you haven't seen the inside of a gym in, almost a decade and, you're starting to wake up with sore back and sore knees and that sort of thing, that your health is maybe not at its best, not what it used to be. Okay. Maybe, you haven't really gotten together with friends lately as much as you'd like to. Maybe that's more of like a 4 or a 5, but, possibly you got some trips coming up or some fun things to look forward to, but, that there could probably be some improvement there. Maybe, the work and career is, it's pretty good, not the sexiest work, but, you enjoy what you do and the people are great. And so maybe that's like a 7 or an 8. Okay. The same with the finances. It's like, okay, well, it could probably, earn a little bit more, make a little bit more, save a little bit more, that sort of thing. Okay. But the idea is you want to go around the circle and give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as your level of happiness or fulfillment for each of these specific areas. Okay. And what's really cool about this exercise is that at the end, what it does is it spits out an image. Most people are visual learners. Okay. And it gives them a real clear idea as far as kind of like, what's working well and where they need to do some work or what might need a little bit of attention and a little bit of effort to improve upon. Okay. And I'll tell you, the first time I ever did a wellness wheel like this, mine was completely flat in the sense that, I owned my own business and I was working all the time. The money was pretty good, but because I was working all the time, I had next to zero time for my wife and kids. We had one son at that point. We have 2 now. I never saw my friends. I never had time for fun or recreation. And after a while, like the stress really started to take its toll. Okay. And as that progressed, I'm not proud to say this, but this is true. And my solution to that was not a very positive one. And I started drinking more. And the more I started drinking, the more it started to affect not only my physical health and well-being, but also my mental and my emotional state as well. And then it wasn't long before that started to bleed into my relationships. And so you can really begin to start to see how these things are kind of interrelated. and dependent upon one another, you know? But when I first saw this wellness wheel and I filled that out and I saw how flat my wellness wheel was, it was like an aha moment. And if you think about this like the wheel of a bicycle, like, can you imagine trying to ride around on a wheel that looks like a triangle, or like some weird shape that you might have learned about in geometry class? Like chances are it's going to be pretty rough and pretty bumpy, and in for some ups and downs and that sort of thing. And when I saw that, I was like, that made a lot of sense. Have you ever tried to ride a bike with a flat tire? Like it's hard, it's difficult. It feels like you're going uphill the whole way. And that was what my entire life felt like. It felt like an uphill battle. And so that was a kind of eye-opening experience for me, or a moment and an opportunity where I saw just a few things click. Okay. And you might have an intuitive sense as far as what's working well and what you need to improve upon, but the exercise itself can be very helpful. And then from there, the next thing that I have people do is to ask themselves, like, okay, well, if this is where we are, where do you want to go? you know and I have a lot of conversations with people. I'm in a unique position where I have the opportunity to ask people, all kinds of people, about their goals. One thing that I've learned is that most people don't have goals. And in fact, most people just have wants. Only about 2% of people, statistically speaking, have actual goals. Okay. And when I talk to people, what are your goals for the next 6 to 12 months? I'll hear the typical same responses, slightly different variations from time to time. But it's usually things like, well, I could lose a little bit of weight. I want to get in a bit better shape. I want to earn more money. And, in some cases I'll hear, I'd like to have more free time or more control of my schedule, more freedom. And some people will say, I just want to be happier, you know? And look, while I can totally understand why people might say that, that's not a goal. Okay. That's just a want. And everybody wants those kinds of things. Show me one person that doesn't want to be in a bit better shape, have more money in their bank account, more freedom, and be a happier. That's everybody. Okay. But, what we're really looking to accomplish with an exercise like this is to create some real tangible, specific targets. Okay. Because a goal is different than a want. A goal is a target that you can aim at. Okay. And that you can work to begin to make progress towards and eventually hit. Okay. And, they say that vague goals produce vague results. And it's true. Okay. And so together, what we do is we work to create some real tangible targets that give us some direction, give us some meaning, and give us purpose. And that's what a good goal should do. Okay. A mentor of mine that I mentioned earlier, Earl Nightingale, he says that, well, he says, man, the language back then was slightly different than what they use today. But he says that a man without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. And a ship without a rudder, can only do a couple of things. One, it's got no purpose, no destination, and no direction. So it's just going to float aimlessly and drift about at sea, getting pushed around by the waves and the wind. Eventually, a ship without a rudder is going to end up either wrecked on the rocks or lost in the middle of the ocean. And neither one of those are a good thing, in my opinion. Okay. But that's where goals come in. Okay. And a good goal will give us meaning. It will give us direction. It will give us purpose. It will give us a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And most people's goals are BS. Most people's goals feel more like punishments than anything. But a good goal should do a couple of things. One, it should challenge your thinking, meaning that you should require you to learn something new, okay, to improve your mindset or your skill set. A good goal, number two, should challenge your beliefs, either about what's possible or about what's possible for you. Like, oh man, can I even do that? Is that possible for me? And three, if you're doing number one and number two correctly, number three will take care of itself. And a good goal should kind of scare you just a little bit. And I always say that if your goals don't scare you even a little bit, well, chances are you're probably not dreaming big enough. Okay. But the fourth thing is that a good goal, it should excite you. It should set your heart on fire. It should give you a reason to get up and get out of bed and get started with your day, you know? And one of my favorite quotes is by a man named Howard Thurman. And Howard Thurman shares a line that I've personally tried to live by. Okay. And he says that don't ask what makes, or sorry, let me think about this. He says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and then go do that thing. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And I just love that. You know, when you've got that fire inside of you and you've got a clear destination and a direction and you're making progress in life towards something that's meaningful to you, that you're interested in and passionate about, oh, there's no better feeling. You know, that, my friend, is a high vibration energy. That's totally different than that feeling of being stuck in a rut, you know, or on the hamster wheel of life where you're working really hard but not making any real progress. So I hope you found this little tool helpful. I hope that something that I shared today resonated with you. If you need or want any support or help with formulating or creating a meaningful goal for yourself to help get you out of that rut, to help you feel unstuck and starting to create real momentum in your life, feel free to reach out and let's connect. I'd be happy to share a couple of ideas, or you can binge watch some of the content on YouTube. And either way, I wish you the best of luck. Take care.